I think it's hard to express. It's painful to talk about, and it's exposing to talk about in a way that's, I'm not sure if it's safe, you know?
Yeah.
I don't miss that shit at all. The mountaintop. A mountaintop is a place you visit. You don't fucking live
there.
You don't live in a tent sucking oxygen. It's actually not fun up there. It's a goal.
Yeah.
But it's not a life.
I mean, where does that go? Where do you think that's going? Like, now I look at it like, where do you think that's headed? Like, it just can't, things that expand explode.
How long did it take for you to bounce back?
A couple of years from now. This is the way I look at my life before, was that I just didn't think there was
danger in the world somehow.
Now to the fierce backlash against Louis C.K. After 9 months out of the spotlight, the disgraced comedian returned to stand up for the first time since admitting to sexual misconduct allegations.
In August 2018, 9 months after his cancellation, C.K. performs an unannounced set at the Comedy Cellar. His cancellation isn't mentioned, instead he does what owner Noam Dworman called typical Louis stuff. It sounded just like he was trying to work out some new material, like any time of the last 10 years.
On stage, he didn't make any real reference to it, and I'm not sure why. He just went on and pretended like any other set.
Dworman conceded the manner of CK's appearance, dropping down from the ceiling like a scary bat, didn't allow the audience to decide in advance if they wanted to see him perform. One woman in attendance said it felt like he was being thrust upon the audience without telling them, and described a joke about rape whistles as uncomfortable and disgusting. There were a lot of aggressive men in the audience and very quiet women. It's the kind of vibe that doesn't allow for a dissenting voice.
I can't deny that somebody who was ambushed by it has a different right to be upset about it than somebody who wasn't there, just complaining about the fact that they heard it happen. So yeah, that's a problem.
Over the following months, CK continues to make unannounced drop-ins around New York, forcing dozens more women to stomach his presence and routines without being warned in advance. In October, he performed his first advertised show, again at the Cellar, with protesters outside the venue. Again, he brushes over his misconduct, instead stapling the word victim on his forehead, telling the crowd he lost $35 million in an hour, and he needs to perform because he needs an income. Just to verify how desperately broke CK is, in 2015 he made $9 million, in 2017 he made $52 million. Even if he lost 35, that's still 17 mil pure profit.
That must be really nice.
Oh, just look at that. I'm down to my last few coppers.
In December, audio of a headlining set at Long Island club Governors leaked onto YouTube. It was the first time the majority of fans heard him speak since his cancellation. It is fucking wild. Any hope CK was grappling with his misconduct, gone. He doesn't mention his behavior, the women, or his role in their silence. Instead, the takeaway is how sorry CK feels for himself.
You ever have a whole bad year? You ever have an entire year that sucks 365 shit cunt days in a row? I mean, fuck. Oh.
The set went viral, creating a nuclear explosion's worth of backlash. However, most of the focus was on something else.
This is a pretty big story trending today. Survivors of the Parkland school shooting coming out swinging at Louis C.K. after the comedian mocked their activism in his routine.
Audio from C.K.'s newest set quickly drew backlash. A Parkland alum tweeting, 17 people died at my school. My friend's brother watched his friends die in front of him. Expletive you, Louis.
They testify in front of Congress, these kids? What the f***? What are you doing? You're young. You should be crazy. You should be unhinged. Not in a suit saying, I'm here to tell you. You're not interesting. Because you went to a high school where kids got shot? Why does that mean I have to listen to you? How does that make you interesting? You didn't get shot. You pushed some fat kid in the way. And then, now I gotta listen to you talking?
Amidst the flying tornado shitstorm were a number of comedians, most notably Judd Apatow, who tweeted, "This hacky, unfunny, shallow routine is just a symptom of how people are afraid to feel empathy. It's much easier to laugh at our most vulnerable than to look at their pain directly and show them love and concern. Louis C.K. is all fear and bitterness now. He can't look inward. In the backlash to the thing that's just begun, other comics came at Apatow, saying this was no time for comedians to be turning on one another. Comedians are very much pack animals, like Gorillaz, or the band Gorillaz, and this was an early set not intended to be seen by the public.
Comedians, from a fellow comedian, please stop attacking other comedians. What are we doing? Jesus fucking Christ. Don't comedians get enough shit? We're gonna sit here and fucking attack each other?
I mean, especially when people in comedy who know better act like they don't, is what bothered me, is that this is clearly a workout set. It's probably his 12th to 15th time on stage since being off stage for like 10 months.
Yeah.
And this is part of the process of how you build material.
If there's one thing comedians love, it's free speech. It puts a fire in their bellies and a golden hue on their balls. What? Stand-up has its roots in saying the unsayable, and as Segura says, crossing boundaries is often necessary to figure out where that boundary is. When Apatow criticized CK, it constituted a sort of betrayal. It broke the pirate's code, if you will, as Apatow was consciously ignoring the process of how comedians develop material. This is all great free speech, comedy theory, yada yada yada. It's also
totally missing the point.
The real issue, to me at least, was never about whether CK was allowed to joke about Parkland. He can joke about what he wants. It's about what it meant that he was choosing to do so. Many people already thought CK's return to stand-up was tone-deaf and premature. The fact he was using this stage time to not only dodge his behavior, but punch down on a vulnerable group of people was a sign he wasn't internalizing what he had done. All this is perfectly encapsulated in a fascinating discussion on the Jim and Sam show, where Apatow, fresh from posting the tweets, and guffawing youth group leader who slips you a Bible verse when he shakes your hand to leave, Pete Holmes, are promoting season 3 of Crashing. Ironically, a show that wouldn't exist without the influence of Louis.
Well, I think we all want Louis to talk about what he's going through in a way that is, inward searching, lets us know what he makes of it all, because there's so much to say about it. And that's, when someone says, I'm going to go away and try to think about this. I didn't look at it in the right way before. So when they return and they don't say a word about it, that's kind of weird, because that's what we were hoping that you would do, is say, hey, I kind of get it now. I'm trying to do right by these people. I'm trying to evolve as a person. So he's not saying that at all. Mm-hmm. He's just punching down at, kids who got shot at or whose friends died, and you go, what's your angle here?
Right, let's take a minute. I'm not really a fan of Judd Apatow. He sort of used his street cred as a filmmaker to barge his way into the comedy roundtable when he's never been, in my opinion, a very good comedian. His Netflix special is one of the most vanilla things I've ever seen and should have been given to literally anyone else. He is, like Dane Cook, a big mainstream success who is also quite easy to hate. I want you to know I know that. But if you can't see the point he's making, what's going on? When the set leaked, I desperately wanted CK to talk about what he did, to tell us what he had learned, to make us see it in a different way.
I've asked probably 5 or 6 different crowds, if Louis was doing the show after this, would you go? And 70% of the people applaud.
Yeah. They would want to see what the fuck he has to say.
Yeah. To hear him gloss over the subject entirely was strange, especially from a comedian whose whole brand was relentless introspection. However, I wish Apatow stuck to this argument.
But as comics, to look at a comic working a bit out and act like we don't know what they're doing. Like a lot of times you work through different angles of a bit. This is not a finished piece you put out.
You're not thinking about the other part of it. And this is because, you may not tuned into it. I've done these benefits with shooting victims, right? So I've sat with like a parent who's like, my kid is dead. And she tells me the story about how her kid got shot for trying to, save his girlfriend. And I've met a lot of people who got over getting shot in Vegas and in all these places. I've looked into their eyes.
Like this, now you're getting into an area of, because of course it was a real tragedy. No one's denying it was horrible or that it was disgusting what happened or the gun violence. Yeah, that's all very accurate. But I know people that have put guns in their own mouths. So should I not make fun of suicide?
You can see the argument spilling over, and as it continues, only gets worse.
Are you cussing with me? No, you cussing with me?
Apatow, I think offended Norton was taking an opposing point of view, leans in harder, implying comedians shouldn't be making jokes about tragedy at all. Norton counters, saying comedians can joke about what they like and this was an early set not intended to be, oh look, we're back where we started. Throughout the back and forth, you can see Roberts and Holmes try to get a word in, to reintroduce the vital context into the conversation, but it falls on deaf ears. Apatow, in a frankly really unlikable and obnoxious way, talks over everyone to lay down the law on what CK can and can't say.
I actually don't think it's
but
about...
what would be your point of making fun of suicide? If you came at it from an angle of like, you're just weak, yeah, it might be fucked up, and someone might go like, yeah, that's a terrible joke, and why can't someone tell you it's a terrible joke?
They can say it's a terrible joke, but it's the idea that, well, this is a real tragedy, so he shouldn't be working it. Like, maybe that's not the final angle he will settle on.
Oh my god. While I see where Apatow is coming from, you can't deny it's opening a Lenny Bruce-shaped back door for Norton to come to CK's defense. Coming on the show, Apatow had an opportunity to speak to CK's fans directly. He could have extended an olive branch, showed understanding while encouraging them to see the deeper problem at play. Instead, he overreaches, making it easy for CK supporters to dismiss him as part of the Me Too woke brigade, shoving the sock of censorship into the gaping mouth of comedy. I'll also add, it's a slightly weird turn from Norton. At the start of the video, I was playing clips where him and Roberts were more than willing to see the grey area of CK's misconduct. A year later, Norton staunchly defends CK's right to perform the jokes, but is reluctant to get into anything more complicated. Who is Norton? He doesn't seem to have much of a viewpoint, but sort of sway in the breeze of public opinion. I wonder why. Apatow becomes a representation of how the media reported on CK generally during his cancellation and comeback. Unable to focus solely on his misconduct, they bring up a whole bunch of other stories that distract from the actual issue. Footage of him using the N-word on Talking Funny or the F-word, not fuck, in his material were dredged up and condemned. Even though he was applauded for this behavior at the time, there was also relentless use of his stand-up. Tiny excerpts from much longer routines would be spliced with no context into the edit and presented as an admission of guilt.
That coming after he actually made a joke about the massacre at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School.
Turns out there's an actual reason why babies cry on airplanes, and it's because they're upset that gay people are getting married.
What the fuck are you doing? For fans of CK, this relentless pile-on not only made it look like the media had no idea what they were talking about, it also took away from the seriousness of his misconduct. Because it was easy to dismiss these parts of the story as lazy, dumb, and manipulative, it became easier to dismiss the rest as well. It's still happening today. When articles like this are released, it puts everything on a level playing field. His jokes are held alongside his misconduct when they are orders of magnitude different. It's like making a list of the 10 worst things Jeffrey Dahmer ever did. 1, he killed and ate people. 2, he was rude to waitresses. I don't know about you, but these should be on different lists. A couple weeks after this conversation, without Apatow preaching from his pulpit, Holmes went on Busy Tonight and made a much more compassionate argument. It would be wonderful if he would evolve and grow and share in a funny and interesting way. Like it or not, he's a symbol of something now, and if that symbol chooses to work with the feedback he's receiving, a lot of people that love and respect him can evolve alongside him, and that's a powerful opportunity. I'm hopeful he'll still do it. This portion of the interview was uploaded to YouTube, but was taken down, presumably because of the hate. Look, maybe a portion of CK's fans were never going to seriously consider what he did, but you have to admit, this anger didn't come from nowhere. CK's fans were already feeling alienated and abandoned. A hugely influential figure was gone over behavior they didn't understand the severity of. And instead of being met with grace, they were screamed at. They were told Louis CK is a piece of shit, everything he ever did was terrible, and you'd be a bigoted idiot for liking him in the first place. Anyone that expressed any sympathy towards him found themselves at risk of being cancelled themselves. I touched on this earlier with Matt Damon, but lest we forget, Norm Macdonald's strange, Orwellian apology tour. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Macdonald said he put CK in touch with Roseanne Barr after being worried for Barr's mental health following her cancellation.
And I was like, I'm kind of worried about Roseanne. You know, she's not the strongest person mentally.
Right.
And Louis said, I think I should talk to her because very few people have been through what we have been through, this particular event where you say something or you do something and your career is wiped out forever. And they conflated that with me saying, you know, in the headline, Norm Macdonald defends Louis C.K. and Roseanne Barr. And I never defended them.
Following this, MacDonald was dropped from The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Thanks again for that, Jimmy. He then apologized on Twitter. He went on Howard Stern, where he apologized again, albeit not in the best fashion, and ended up on The fucking View to apologize for apologizing for sympathizing. And somehow people can't understand why anyone would support CK. Because all the middle ground was taken away. Where was the nuance?
I don't know if Roseanne could ever come back.
Are you worried to speak now because of the backlash that you've received this week? Now are you thinking twice before everything comes out of your mouth? You always think that way.
I don't want to hear left and right crap. They're all fucking nuts. That fucking shit post Me Too, where it went from people shouldn't sexually assault people, absolutely, to I don't like what you're talking about in your act, was fucking nuts. It was McCarthyism on the left. And now you've gone to the other side on the right.
The trail that we blaze.
I found a post on Reddit by someone called Persian Cobra titled, "I think it's gross for Pete Holmes to speak on Louis C.K., followed by the aforementioned quote from Busy Tonight. Cobra, no doubt expecting a chorus of agreement, is instead met by a bunch of normal people politely asking them what the big deal is. Cobra reluctantly responds to a few comments, gets downvoted for being a dick, and leaves the conversation. Hopefully to reconsider why they were so angry. It's a tiny example of how a reasonable conversation can get people out of their bubble. Reality falls short of Reddit's example. Clickbait hysteria pushed CK supporters the other way, dismissing the whole thing as Me Too woke bullshit and priming them to lash out in exactly the same way as the media at anything remotely critical. CK, in contrast, became a symbol of free speech. He wasn't going to be bullied by Me Too. He was going to make jokes about anything, no matter how dark or tragic. His abuse, the thing that was actually the problem, played less and less of a role. After Parkland, this was no longer about misconduct. This was about jokes. And it turns out, CK was thinking the same thing.
I think it's really bad that we don't have these barriers anymore. Where there's speech that's for these few people, there's speech that we're gonna have a fun conversation where we're gonna get a little crazy. It's not for the whole world to see.
Well, what was infuriating was people that know that. They know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And they went after you. And I was like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, there's people that I won't talk to
Yeah.
this day because of that.
Wow.
I was like, I'm not talking to you. That's what it felt like to
me. All of that is totally true, and it makes me understand it. In other words, it makes me feel sympathy. It makes me go like, all right, if that's what you need to do, that's what you got to do. I get that. I would prefer to hang out with somebody who doesn't need to do that, but I get it.
Over 2022 and 23, CK returned to the public eye with a string of podcast appearances promoting his self-funded film, 4th of July, and a live stream of a show at Madison Square Garden. You can see CK's narrative in full effect, using the backlash from the leaked set to launch into all the previously mentioned points these poddy commies love to dribble over, especially what a backstabbing, double-crossing, lily-livered coward Apatow is for calling CK out.
Any comedian who's out in the world saying that comedian shouldn't be saying these things.
Yeah.
That's a traitor to comedy.
Well, they always suck.
They're not a real comedian.
And none of them are good.
They've learned some tricks so they can seem good and they might have a big audience. But they don't love this.
Right.
And that's a fucked up thing to do.
I thought a fucked up thing to do was masturbating in front of other comedians without their consent and bullying them out of the industry. Sorry, just let me realign my moral code to make criticizing jokes worse than sexual assault. Okay, got it. Throughout this conversation, CK pushes the narrative that his cancellation wasn't because of abuse with a side order of gaslight and denial. No, it was because woke comedy gone mad.
The kind of comedy I do, which is just flagrant fouls, bad behavior throughout.
Right.
For a while, that was like considered the greatest thing, and people were just like, "This is great."
Yeah.
The mainstream loved it. Everybody loved it, right? And I had that for years. So I figured if I have to do it and I start getting hated for it, or even just business goes down, I have to take some heat from the sides, so what?
You can see what CK is doing. He started getting hated for his material. The masturbating, the Times article, how that obliterated our perception of him, how his behavior was why there was such intense scrutiny over his material to begin with. Oh, it's not even worth mentioning. Context, schmontext. CK tells us he never changed. The culture changed. That and that alone is responsible for the hate towards him.
To me, everything that's happened has been natural. It's like normal that comedy has to be defended every few years.
Yeah.
Like when everybody's being cool, like when the world is kind of cool, like it was up till maybe 2015 or so, like it's just kind of cool. But then when things get shitty in terms of this sort of thing, people being more divided and unable to express themselves, comedy gets more important, but also starts getting attacked. And we have to defend it, that's all.
CK in real time is trying to scrub his cancellation out of the collective consciousness. It's just, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to watch. That's why he says 2015 is the year things started changing, implying his 2017 cancellation was but a mere footnote in a much wider attack on comedy as a whole. Fuck off! And just for the record, in 2015, CK released Live at the Comedy Store, which won an Emmy, did the child molester routine for the season finale of SNL, Emmy nominated, released the 5th season of Louie, multiple Emmy nominations, and became the first comedian to sell out Madison Square Garden 3 times on a single tour. Millions of dollars. Yeah, 2015. Oh, it's such a struggle. You could really feel the walls caving in. On the rare occasion CK does mention his misconduct, it is brief and cryptic, and he immediately segues back into comedy. Comedy is why he was cancelled. Comedy.
And it was like that before. When I first started, I was gross, and a lot of people stayed away from me. And then I had a heyday, and then I'm like, it's time to go back into the underground. It's time to go back into just like I don't get mentioned in the big lists for a lot of reasons, but also for the comedy.
This reaches just an amazing tipping point when he says the reaction to the leaked set was worse than his initial cancellation.
The only thing I regret is it was reckless because my life was very precarious. Things were tough, and things were tough for my kids. So that created a bigger, huge stink bomb than anything else that had even happened.
The set did?
Yeah, the set was really hard. So
what are you talking to me? When Rogan is struggling to believe you, you're probably making shit up.
Happened.
The set did?
Yeah, the set was really hard. So
I can't speak for Louis, but I struggle to believe the set caused more of a problem than being outed as a sexual pervert, losing $35 million and being abandoned and shamed by the industry. But that's just me. Also, mentioning your kids. Nice one. When have we heard that before? Come on, kids. Get in Daddy's van. Time to go on a guilt trip. Somehow making this worse, CK repeatedly says his cancellation was an inevitability. Anyone who became as famous and successful as CK would have been brought down, no matter what they did or who they masturbated in front of.
And the industry, I knew it from, I've been doing this for 37 years. So that I was in it long enough to know that when I was getting a lot of acceptance from there, I was like, yeah, right. Like, I know this is short-lived. I know this is conditional.
it's like going to space. You just got to be able to come back down.
And you land in a lake.
And then you're left with whatever amount of fans you have, and that's your cruising altitude.
Yeah.
And that, because everybody has that trajectory, and then you don't hear about them, but they're out there touring.
It reminds me of this clip from Beacon where CK seems to predict his downfall.
All the things you do, I do a better version of all those things. And it's only for another year at the most, believe me. It's not gonna last. It's been about 8 months, I got a year left, and then I'm back to being just like you.
Some supporters have used this to argue CK always knew his fame would be short-lived, but so fucking what? The reason he says he won't be famous for long is because he knows he's done some really fucked up stuff. If anything, that makes it worse, especially when he's dangling what he did in front of us like a disgusting moldy carrot. In these later clips, is he saying he knew his fame was conditional because he was running from a mountain of terrible behavior? No, he's saying it was because nobody stays famous for long. This phrasing removes any sense of responsibility over what he's done and how he covered it up. He's literally turning sexual misconduct into a cautionary tale about fame. He's not a perpetrator, he's the victim of the Hollywood machine. Incredible.
I mean, where does that go? Where do you think that's going? Like, now I look at it like, where do you think that's headed?
Like it just can't. Things that expand explode.
Alrighty then.
When it comes to pinning down exactly why he was cancelled, do you think he mentions the women or anything based in reality? Does he fuck? No, he dabbles in shadowy figures and vague conspiracy. Ooh, oh my god!
Like you ever seen the American Gangster? It's Denzel Washington. And,
Yes.
There's that you're watching him quietly build this huge empire, and then it's when he goes out in the white fur coat to the fight. He goes to a boxing match in a white fur coat, and then the head cop, Russell Crowe, goes, "Who's that guy?" And he's not aware that somebody has just gone, "Wait a minute, who's the guy in the white fur?" So when you're like big, getting bigger and bigger, somebody out there is going like, "What's going on with that guy? That guy's flying awfully high."
Okay, let's just so this is who Louis thinks he is, and let's just put a photo of Louis up, just so we're on the same page. According to Louis, someone in Hollywood went, "This ginger is getting awfully big for his boots. We need to bring him down. Bring that ginger down." Fucking ridiculous. CK can wax lyrical all he wants about building his independent empire or being the gangster in the white fur coat, but he wasn't threatening anyone. He's a straight white perverted man who spent 30 years in the industry, which, if Me Too showed us anything, was the literal embodiment of status quo. And it's not like leading up to his cancellation he was making rogue moves. He was making a huge push towards the mainstream. He had inked a deal to produce 2 stand-up specials with Netflix, the first time his specials wouldn't be available on the independent website that was posing such a threat. He had a huge number of projects in development with major networks. He had supporting acting roles in American Hustle and Trumbo, both of which received Oscar nominations. Speaking of Oscars, CK was tipped as a potential host after presenting the 2016 award for Best Documentary Short. He was also the voice of the dog in The Secret Life of Pets. I'm pretty sure you can't be at odds with the system when you've got your own fucking Beanie Baby. The real outsiders were and have always been the women, the ones CK used his power over to keep quiet. But that doesn't matter to CK because he's just a pathetic little victim in his big glasses who's having a hard time.
A proper apology is the actual shifting where you go like, I am not the protagonist. This is not my story. I am a character in it. I am a bad character in it.
I can't really describe how bad it was. It was bad.
Yeah.
It's a bad time.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, it was
Thanks. I mean, other people have gone through bad things.
Yeah, of course.
And it's been a hard bunch of years for everybody.
Sure.
For like the whole goddamn country.
At this point, this video is spinning out of control. I started this project with a few lingering questions about CK's behavior. I thought I'd make maybe a 30-minute video about how CK has changed, whether it's still okay to support his comedy. That was 11 months ago. I now have multiple Word documents with hundreds of pages of mad notes that I'm realizing I'm going to have to turn into some kind of content. It feels like I've been sucked headfirst into a black hole of my own making. I'm not leaving the house for multiple days at a time, often working 16 hours straight to figure out how to structure this mess. I feel like a combination of Gollum, the Pepe Sylvia meme, and the chicken from Moana when it sees the ocean for the first time. I've had, I think, 4 complete meltdowns where I've had to stay in bed for multiple days because I can't face turning on my computer. I've also genuinely been having a recurring dream where I'm sitting in Joe Rogan's podcast studio. Louis sits down opposite me, stares at me without blinking, while a bunch of other Louis walk into the room. I'm not kidding, that's actually true.
I think this job might be getting to you. I think you need to take some time off. Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you? Very much so. Yes.
I genuinely feel like I'm going nuts, and now here I am watching Louis CK, my hero, who I thought could never put a foot wrong, say, without irony, it's been a tough bunch of years for the whole goddamn country.
This is the way I look at my life before, was that I just didn't think there was danger in the world somehow.
Am I going crazy? Is this real life? You're the danger. Fuck!
Have you seen his ass lately?
What the hell is he trying to pull? He's all thin now, and he wears these little tight suits, and he's got these grandpa reading glasses, like, hey, I can't do nothing to nobody no more, you know?
I don't know if CK genuinely believes the shit he's peddling, or if it's part of some shrewd master plan to appeal to his new audience, but watching these conversations, it finally dawned on me. I have no idea who this guy is. The Louis CK I knew would want to talk about what he did, even if it was shameful or he thought Me Too overstepped the mark. He would still interrogate his behavior, discuss his demons openly, and use platforms like this to help him and us move forward. Instead, we get this imitator, this charlatan, whose only focus is to tell us how he's the victim, how he's suffered what he's gone through, while this black shadow that hangs over these conversations like a ghost remains totally unaddressed. It's heartbreaking.
I don't know how people handle right now being a successful mainstream show business person, because it's such a bizarre culture to be a success in, I think. You know, what is it? What do you have to do to stay in there right now? If you're in the pocket,
right?
If you're the guy way up there, then what do you do every day to not lose it? You know what I mean? That's much harder, I think.
Right.
Or hard in the opposite way. I feel free on this in a sense, in other words.
I know this video series is already approaching the runtime of Fellowship of the Ring Extended Edition, but if there's one moment that sums up everything I used to love about CK now feeling like pretentious fake garbage, it's this moment on YMH when he's talking about the motherfucking soil.
I don't garden, I don't plant anything, but it's kind of crazy. I go in there and I just dig, I just get my hands in the dirt, I just touch the soil.
Yeah.
And you realize when you really, how often do you do that? Like almost never, right? Now I'm just not into gardening, but I want to do that part.
Yeah.
Because it's ripping the soil of the earth and going, this is a living, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And if you put a seed in there, shit grows. It's fucking sick.
how?
It's a magical place.
Louis, you don't get to have it both ways, man. You can't be Mr. Sensei, soil philosopher man, who is so in touch with nature and yourself, while you continue to dodge, duck, fucking flip, fucking dodge any culpability over what you've done. Who are you? What is this shit? I'm not a big fan of Tom Segura, but the way he responds to CK during this is just spot on.
And if you put a seed in there, shit grows. It's fucking
A,
sick.
how?
It's a magical place.
Sure.
The only moments of joy are when CK cannot hide his contempt for where he's ended up. Something about sitting on a tiny ottoman in Yanis Papas's abandoned vape shop would do that to anyone.
Let me just say, this experience of being praised by me is not an attestament of you guys' talent as much as it is that I've come down so low.
Right, you're down. I get.
That
Well,
I've gone so low that
right, yeah.
You guys are my peers now.
We caught you at a good time. Yeah,
That's right.
A couple
But anyway,
years ago,
go
you
on.
wouldn't be here. Yeah.
Never. Are we ever going to stop doing this podcast?
I mean, I was trying to.
You can see why CK went on these podcasts. Besides Rogan, who can be manipulated like warm Play-Doh, they're all comedians of a younger generation who are clearly in awe of him. Let's not forget, CK was, for a while, the most celebrated comedian on the planet. Getting him on their podcasts is like getting Gandalf the White to enter a crack den. In Yanis Papas's case, literally. It also doesn't hurt that they're pretty much all run by conservative-adjacent white males with an almost entirely male audience who are outspoken on overreaching liberal values. Many of them were either rejected by or deeply suspicious of the mainstream media. They happily buy into CK being taken down by Me Too hysteria or some woke Hollywood phantom, confirming their own beliefs about the industry.
Because there's so much political correct bullshit, this woke bullshit, what you can and can't say, and so many people feel upset about it.
I have a follow-up based on what you said about getting your own emails and not liking the mountaintop. Did you do that knowing I don't want to be here for long? Did you do that with like, I'm getting the fuck out of this whole thing that I'm in right now?
I know that people don't stay up there.
Only people who have been in your position can appreciate the feeling of, you know, being publicly like shamed.
There's even a clip of Tim Dillon on Tucker Carlson where Dillon says CK was taken out by left-leaning Me Too hitmen, Assassin's Creed style.
I don't know what they do.
So
now.
Louis C.K. was.
They may go back to killing people. That's what they did for a long. That's what they did for a long time, and then they just started destroying their reputations. But before that, they killed them. If you remember that,
yes,
people would die in all these weird ways, and cars would go off things, and people get shot in the middle of hotels, and then it just started to be like, we're just going to take out people's reputations.
Yes.
So many opportunities to ask CK about what he did pass by. There's even a moment on Rogan where CK stumbles into mentioning a segment from his show about masturbation. That circulated heavily during his cancellation. But Rogan is more than happy to sit there, letting this lumbering elephant enter and exit frame as if it wasn't even there.
It was a sketch for my show. It was like a scene for my show where I'm debating with a woman who's against masturbation, and I'm the guy on pro-masturbation, and he was the moderator, and we had this like TV news thing. It was a silly episode of my show.
In over 20 hours of flaccid conversation about getting off mountaintops and woke censorship and, oh, do you want to tell us for the 5th time how you got FX to give you creative control of Louis? We love that one. I found one attempt to kind of ask CK about his cancellation, and he swerves it.
And it's so much of it came from him, and he threw in with me, which is not an easy thing to do.
What do you mean it's a scary thing for you at this stage? Just
well, it's a hard, because of blah blah blah.
Because of all the shit.
Yeah, because of da 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 deep blah blah. It's not. It's like every step is difficult.
When I first listened to these podcasts, I thought maybe CK asked them beforehand not to mention his misconduct. After listening to Andrew Schultz ask CK if he would be gay and Tim Dillon relentlessly mock a woman with body dysmorphia, I realised, of course he didn't. They don't know. They don't care. CK was right about one thing. These are his peers now.
So can I ask, you just walk around no shirt all day?
This is a sports
Don't
bra.
mention the fucking no shirt.
This is a sports bra.
Let it happen.
Easy, watch it.
This is like
we're all benefiting.
You're going to get maced.
I'm a fitness.
I'm so depressed I don't know what I'm doing. I have not got a clue.
Just to show you how clueless these podcasters are, I was quietly, or quite loudly actually, jotting down moments to demonstrate how much they know about CK's cancellation. And it turns out, not a lot. Barely a lot. Barely a little. Less than a little. Nothing. It seems to be nothing.
Well, I mean, it was a moment in which, and I don't know the details of every single accusation in that piece, but I do know that it was a moment where people weren't thinking.
In YMH, Christina Pasitsky enthusiastically brings up Pamela Adlon, clearly unaware that Adlon cut all ties with CK and they haven't talked since his cancellation.
If you had to create the perfect woman, would it be Pamela Adlon? You guys, I just feel like she's in so much of your stuff.
Yeah.
And
no, she's great. She's amazing.
I feel
huge talent.
Yeah, I feel like you guys would fit together. I don't know. I have this fan.
Pamela
I don't know
and I
her.
had,
I don't know you.
There's even one wonderful moment when the internet lackey clicks on an image of the two of them together before realizing it's for an article with the headline, "It felt like the world was ending," before they take the whole browser down.
I just like that she's not what you expect. She's not. She's tough and she's goofy. And then when I did Louis, she helped me. She was like a sounding board. I wrote the whole series, but I had folks that I depended on.
There's a horrific moment on Two Bears, One Cave where half man, half machine, all moron Bert Kreischer starts showing CK fucking quicksand porn. Bert, unaware of the obvious link of CK deriving pleasure from making women feel trapped, plays these clips at length, while CK sits there soaking it in.
This is the best part of it. And when she goes, maybe it's these clothes that are...
Yeah, maybe I got to take off my top.
Yeah, maybe I got to take off my top. That's the problem with this quicksand.
I don't know. It's something about somebody being enclosed and it's like I get it.
There's another moment later where Bert, bless him, tries to give CK a compliment and accidentally brings up Tig Notaro.
Horace and Grant. Or Horace and Pete.
Horace and Pete, yeah.
Horace Grant's a basketball player.
Yeah, he's good.
Horace and Pete. I mean, you helped launch so many people that were struggling, like some shows, and then I don't want to say Tig's name because I know she kind of threw you under the bus, but
you can see Bert a full 10 seconds in advance try to avoid running into this brick wall, and somehow he can't do it.
The enormity of their flat brain,
The enormity of their stupidity is just overwhelming.
I'm actually glad Bert escaped the Dunning-Kruger laboratory because he's putting CK in positions no one else would dream of. For CK's narrative to make sense, you have to believe on some level Notaro is connected to some elaborate woke conspiracy or stabs CK in the back for clout. Two accusations which, as we've talked about, make zero sense. Bert, knowing nothing, vocalizes these beliefs, and we can see CK for the lying sack of shit he is, passively muttering it's all right as if Notaro wronged him.
I don't want to say Tig's name because I know she kind of threw you under the bus, but...
Right. Doing a cheeky throwback, one of the most telling pieces of evidence I've found is when rape apologist and all-around charming fellow Kurt Metzger is passionately defending CK on Rogan. Metzger, discussing the Times article, asks Rogan point blank if he read it. Rogan's response is...
delicious. The guitar comic thing, absolutely despicable how they frame that.
What's the guitar comic?
That's so lost, man. Did anybody read the article? Nobody did, right? Nobody reads the article.
I don't read the New York Times.
Just read the headline.
I don't think I read it.
I don't think I read it.
I don't think I read it, which is Rogan code for I definitely haven't read it.
If those kids could read, they'd be very upset.
And who's that? Why, it's white supremacist neo-Nazi Owen Benjamin. Oh, why did Spotify take the episode down?
The first one is the guitar duo that people thought were Garfunkel and Oates.
Who?
The guitar duo that Louis supposedly jerked off. You don't remember this?
No.
That's why they made the article.
I'm missing a lot of shit. Guitar duo that Louis jerked off in front of?
The New York Times article.
See, 4 months after the article released, Rogan hadn't read it. He wasn't even familiar with basic parts of the story. Embarrassing as it is, I found myself turning to Rogan's phony baloney cronies when it came to commenting on CK. The fact he hadn't done the barest of necessities before spouting his opinions on millions of listeners is... well, not surprising, but worth mentioning. Speaking of muscular comedy gatekeepers, Rogan occupies an interesting place in this story. He's probably been the most important person to give CK a platform post-cancellation. Yet, despite not reading the article, Rogan was initially very critical of CK.
What he did, I think, was just gross.
It was gross if he did it to a man. It takes on more ominous tones when he's doing it to women.
You can be a great comedian, and you could also sexually assault people. Like, you can be kind of shitty in that area. But you're still a good... that doesn't...
Don't you think that the Louis C.K. thing was extra disturbing because he was doing it to one of us? He wasn't just saying, hey, girl, stay still while I jerk off in front of you, which is gross. But he's also doing it to what should be a peer.
That's why that indicates to me it's a power struggle.
Yeah, because that consensual thing doesn't give you the buzz. The
right.
buzz is the forbidden thing. I had some conversations with Eliza Schlesinger, and she was saying that men would say things to her when she first started out, because she wasn't very good, she just started out.
Yeah.
And these guys were like established guys, and they would treat her as if like, you're below me and you're always going to be below me. Mm-hmm. And I can get away with saying whatever I want to you because you're less than me.
Yeah.
And she goes, and I kind of feel like that's probably why he did that to those girls. Like, he was above them, they were below him, and it was not just, hey, I want to jerk off in front of you. It's like, you have to watch me jerk off because I'm above you.
Rogan has said CK's behavior was ominous, disturbing, fucked up, and without consent. He also didn't disagree when Christina Hutchinson called it sexual assault. Surely you'd think Rogan would be compelled to talk to CK about this directly. And yet, a year later, we get this.
I don't know. Yeah. There's a lot to that story that would make him look very different than a lot of these people that are accusing him. And one day I think he's going to tell that story. I had a conversation with him about it. It's not as cut and dry as everybody thinks. Right. Everybody thinks he had power over these women and he pulled his dick out and started. No, there was a lot of sex talk. There was a lot of flirting. There was a lot going on. It wasn't that simple. And he's very contrite about it. Yes, very, very. And he knows he fucked up. And by the way, he hadn't done anything like that in more than a decade.
How is saying he didn't do anything wrong contrite, you fucking moron? Clearly, whatever conversation the two had, it was very convincing. So convincing that when CK does appear on Rogan twice for over 6 hours, he avoids talking about it at every opportunity.
This is a silly episode of my show.
You'd think if CK actually thought he was innocent, he would, want to share that the way innocent people tend to do.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
This whole telling Rogan in private and then refusing to elaborate in public is, I think, shady as fuck. It just doesn't sit right with me. I don't think it's mere coinky-dink CK chose to confide in the biggest podcaster on the planet who has a history of blurting out whatever baseless conspiracy is placed in front of him. Now, you might argue they're friends. Rogan and CK started performing in Boston around the same time, but Joe Rogan, according to Joe Rogan, never knew CK that well.
I don't know him that well. I don't even have his phone number. I've never had a phone call conversations with him. We've exchanged emails maybe 3 times ever, and he and I have run into each other at clubs and said hi. We've never gone out and hung out together. I'm not good friends with them.
Yeah. This holds with the research I've done. Before 2017, they literally have no public relationship. But this hasn't stopped CK retroactively making their relationship seem deeper than it actually was.
Our friendship has been like running into each other in the parking lot of this comedy store and talking for a couple of hours about life. And
you've known him since 1989, probably?
I never knew him
But are
very
you
well.
around him?
I would see him like once a year, twice a year somewhere and say hi.
He did that thing with Carlos Mencia where he outed him for stealing or whatever. And then his agency, Gersh, told him if you don't apologize to Carlos, we'll dump you. And that was my agency, was Gersh. And I called him, and we hadn't talked in a long time, but I contacted him to say, I need to hear from you if that's a true story. And he said, 100%.
I don't know him that well. I don't even have his phone number. I've never had a phone call conversations with him.
Perhaps it's because of but I can't help but see this cynically. CK would have been aware of Rogan's influence. He would also have known Rogan's fan base had a significant overlap with his own. Cozying up to Rogan was a smart career move, and reconfiguring their friendship would make CK's pivot into the Roganverse look less suspicious.
And people are always like, well, a lot of you podcaster guys, you guys suck Rogan's dick. You know, you always that kind of stuff.
Oh, you like him.
And he's fucking,
number one.
Yeah.
Then there's the conversation. I've been told this next bit is wandering into tinfoil hat territory, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think CK knew, or hoped, Rogan would relay their conversation to his listeners. This gave CK a chance to spread word of his innocence without having to say anything himself, which he knew would be thrown back in his face. At the very least, it shows us what CK was telling his friends, wink, behind closed doors, how aggressively he was in denial, and how easily Joe Rogan's steel trap mind can be penetrated. I guess it's easy to forget what you never read in the first place. I don't know if Rogan ever thought CK did anything that wrong, or was just taking the viewpoint of whichever guest he was talking to. Regardless, CK's anti-woke agenda suited his own narrative, so he hopped onto the bandwagon. That CK goes on Rogan and avoids talking about it like he's performing some masturbation bullet time makes me think, 1, whatever he said to Rogan was bullshit, and 2, he never had any intention of talking about it publicly. More honest behavior from the most honest man in comedy.
I think it's hard to express. It's painful to talk about, and it's exposing to talk about in a way that's, I'm not sure if it's safe, you know?
Yeah. I had a conversation with him about it. It's not as cut and dry as everybody thinks.
Oh shit, I almost forgot.
But on stage, that's holy. That's a holy place for me. And I do think I got that back.
In the 4th month of our Lord's year, 2020, CK releases his first stand-up special since being cancelled, directly, conveniently, on his website. Sincerely plays out very much like the leak set, allegations ignored, business as usual, until the 50th minute where he spends a whopping 4 minutes addressing his misconduct. Yes, after 3 years, we get 4 minutes. That's over a minute a year. What's shocking, or not at this point, is how CK further backtracks from the allegations. He calls what he did a kink, lamenting how unlucky he is the audience knows his thing. He all but asserts his accusers consented, ignoring everything, including his efforts to cover it up.
Some people like when sex is a little fucked up, you know?
Some people like
when sex is a little fucked up. All right, you want to talk about it? Should we talk about it? Yeah, all right. I don't mind talking about it.
God. He also makes an accidental pun, which I know seems like a quibble, but I think it's indicative of the confessional aura he wants to create. Rewatching his specials, I've never seen CK make a pun before, yet here he is,
punning it up,
presenting himself at his most confessional, his most accidental and off the cuff, at the very moment he's being the most manipulative.
If you ever ask somebody, can I jerk off in front of you? Just let me finish. I mean,
I try to make it seem like I'm just getting this out, but I know all the moves. I know every little piece of it.
Fuck. Okay.
Sincerely is so evasive, disingenuous, and dishonest, so tainted and rank. No wonder it won a Grammy. CK is using his stage persona to smooth over the now blatant differences between his account and the article. He's appealing to his new fans, the anti-woke, anti-censorship, free speech mob, along with any stragglers too lazy or ignorant to do any research of their own. Everyone else can fuck off. The people who watch Sincerely and believe it counts as an apology are delusional. I was one of those people. Sure, I was skeptical and the special didn't sit quite right with me, but at the end of the day, I fell for it. For this cheap, shitty magic trick and gave Louis the benefit of the doubt. That is embarrassing.
If you ever ask somebody, may I jerk off in front of you? And they say yes. Just say, are you sure? That's the first part.
There's no point talking about Sincerely for too long because, honestly, it's not very interesting. It is, in context, totally inevitable and unsurprising. The logical endpoint of a man who had been desperately trying to rebury this masturbating zombie the moment it escaped the grave. That analogy may have escaped me, but you get what I'm saying, you know? He was always going to do this. I mean, you've come this far. Is this surprising? Sincerely, is anyone going like that OMG cat, like, oh my god, I can't believe he's lying again. No, this is obvious stuff. He sucks. So let's move on to something much worse, actually. Much worse. The more interesting question and the more holistic question is why? It sounds simple, but I'm serious. Why was Louis so aggressively opposed to apologizing, so hell-bent on changing the narrative? As Kevin Fallon says, CK's path to being forgiven was potentially the easiest of any cancelled male celebrity. The work he created was so celebrated by liberal, progressive critics that there would likely have been an eager leap to forgiveness had he handled the aftermath, with any sort of contrition, education, campaigning, or awareness. Why didn't he? Why this 180-degree turn? Well, as we're about to find out, this is a far, far deeper issue than many would first assume. CK may have been cancelled by 5 women in the New York Times, but this behaviour has deep roots, branching into every aspect of his childhood, his work, and mind. To understand what Louis did, and to really understand Louis, we need to talk about exhibitionism.